out there, if the future does not include being out there among the stars and being a multi-planet species, I find that it's incredibly depressing if that's not the future that we're going to have.
Incredibly ambitious dream to develop rockets that are actually reusable, and you've only gone and done it.
Yeah.
I mean, talk us through this. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, so this is one of our rocket boosters coming back from very high and fast in space. So just delivered the upper stage at high velocity. I think this may have been sort of a Mach 7 or so delivery of the upper stage.
So that was a sped up.
That's the slowed down version. Yeah.
That was the sped up version. But I mean, that's amazing. And several of these failed before you finally figured out how to get to do it. But now you've done this what, 5 or 6 times?
I think we're on 8 or 9 or something.
Yeah. And for the first time, you've actually reflown one of the rockets that landed. So
we landed the rocket booster and then prepped it for flight again and flew it again. So it's the first reflight of an orbital booster where that reflight is relevant. So it's important to appreciate that reusability is only relevant if it is rapid and complete.
Right.
So like an aircraft or a car, the reusability is rapid and complete. You do not send your aircraft to Boeing in between flights.
Right.
Visually, you can see that's person. Yeah, and that's the vehicle.
So if that was a skyscraper, that's like a 40. Did I read that? 40 stories.
Yeah, maybe a little more. Yeah. The thrust level of this is really. This configuration is about 4 times the thrust of the Saturn V moon rocket.
4 times the thrust of the biggest rocket humanity ever created before.
Yeah. I mean,
as one does.
I mean, in units of 747, 747 is only about a quarter million pounds of thrust. So there are for every 10 million pounds of thrust, there's 47. So this would be the thrust equivalent of 120 747s with all engines blazing.
And so even with a machine designed to escape Earth's gravity, I think you told me last this thing could actually take a fully loaded 747, people, cargo, everything into orbit.
Exactly. This can take a fully loaded 747 with maximum fuel, maximum passengers, maximum cargo on the 747. This can take it as cargo.
So much is how that's so important, and that's in the long scheme the hardest part of all this is just the manufacturing.
Generally, manufacturing is underrated and design is overrated. So people generally think that this eureka moment of you come up with this idea and that's it. Now it's good, but the design there's literally 1,000%, maybe 10,000% more work that goes into the production system than the thing itself. So say how much effort have we put into say designing Raptor versus designing the manufacturing system? It's 10 to 100 times more effort to design the manufacturing system than the engine.
Even of Raptor?
Oh yeah, absolutely, especially with Raptor. All of our, basically, the amount of effort that goes into the design rounds down to 0.
Right.
Relative to the amount of effort that goes into the manufacturing system.
Yeah.
And if this was not true, great, I'd like 1,000 Raptors, please. You can't make them? Oh, okay.
Right.
This is just very fundamentally underappreciated. If people have not been in manufacturing, especially manufacturing of something that's relatively new, then they don't understand, and they think the design is the hard part, and they think production is like a copier or something like that.
Right.
So it's completely false. Trying to correct the misperception that design is the hard part. It is not the hard part. There have been lots of great rocket engines designed. You've spent a lot of time looking at the Russian rocket engine designs. There's some amazing Russian rocket engine designs. They've been doing staged combustion for a long time, and have done, I don't know, hundreds of different designs, literally. So the hard part is not can you design a staged combustion rocket engine. This has been done.
Yeah.
What is super hard about Raptor is how do we make a Raptor where the cost per ton of thrust is under $1,000?
Why do we need to build a city on Mars with 1 million people on it in your lifetime, which I think is kind of what you've said you'd love to do?
Yeah, I think it's important to have a future that is inspiring and appealing. I mean, I just think that there have to be reasons that you get up in the morning and you want to live. Like, why do you want to live? What's the point? What inspires you? What do you love about the future? And if we're not out there, if the future does not include being out there among the stars and being a multi-planet species, I find that it's incredibly depressing if that's not the future that we're going to have. Possibly the most common error of a smart engineer is to optimize a thing that should not exist.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And they say, well, why would people do that? Well, everyone's been trained in high school and college that you got to answer the question, convergent logic.
Yep.
So you can't tell the professor your question is dumb, or you'll get a bad grade. You have to answer the question.
Yep.
So everyone's basically, without knowing it, they got like mental straitjacket on. That is, they'll work on optimizing the thing that should simply not exist.
Right. Right.
I'll give you an example from way back in the day of Falcon 1. So in the original sort of like when Tom Mueller and I were like batting around, like, okay, what should this rocket look like? I think I was literally in like Tom's kitchen or something, and we had like the spreadsheet and like, okay, we need to like make a minimally viable rocket, like half a ton or whatever, it's something like that, and then initially the spreadsheet had we had an NTO MMH upper stage, so a hypergoal upper stage, kind of like a variant of the TRW LIMD.
Yep.
So even if you're like, you know, if Edison and Tesla had a baby and that baby was smaller than both of them combined and said your job is to optimize an NTO MMH upper stage, you're screwed. And then finally you get to step 4, which is accelerate cycle time. You're moving too slowly, go faster. But don't go faster until you have worked on the other 3 things first.
Gotcha.
If you're digging, you know, your grave, don't dig it faster. Stop digging your grave.
Right.
But you can always make things go faster. And then the final step is automate. Now I have personally made the mistake of going backwards on all 5 steps, multiple times. So I have to repeat this. Yes, multiple times on Model 3, where literally I automated, accelerated, simplified, and then deleted. Automating was a mistake, then accelerating was a mistake, then optimizing was a mistake, and finally I said, what the hell are these mats for? And I asked the battery safety team, because I like, are these mats for, what are these mats for? They said, oh, these mats, I said, oh, they're for fire protection or something? They said, no, they're for noise and vibration. So you don't get, and I said, but you're the battery department. Then I asked the NBA, a noise vibration harshness team, what's it for? They said fire safety. So literally, it was like being in a Dilbert cartoon, okay? It was like, actually, I feel like I'm in a Dilbert cartoon quite frequently. So I'm like, you know, like, is it really some simulation where I'm trapped in some like Kafkaesque / Dilbert cartoon situation? But that's what it feels like a lot. I think I look at the future from a standpoint of the probabilities. It's like a branching stream of probabilities, and there are actions that we can take that affect those probabilities, or that accelerate one thing or slow down another thing, introduce something new to the probability stream. Sustainable energy will happen no matter what. If there was no Tesla never existed, it would have to happen out of necessity. It's tautological. If you don't have sustainable energy, it means you have unsustainable energy. Eventually, you'll run out, and the laws of economics will drive civilization towards sustainable energy inevitably. The fundamental value of a company like Tesla is the degree to which it accelerates the advent of sustainable energy faster than it would otherwise occur. So when I think like what is the fundamental good of a company like Tesla, I would say hopefully it does. If it accelerated that by a decade, potentially more than a decade, that would be quite a good thing to occur. That's what I consider to be the fundamental sort of aspirational good of Tesla. Then there's becoming a multi-planet species and spacefaring civilization. This is not inevitable. It's very important to appreciate this is not inevitable. The sustainable energy future, I think, is largely inevitable, but being a spacefaring civilization is definitely not inevitable. If you look at the progress in space, in 1969 we were able to send somebody to the moon. 1969. Then we had the space shuttle. The space shuttle could only take people to low Earth orbit. Then the space shuttle retired, and the United States could take no one to orbit. So that's the trend. The trend is like down to nothing. This is not. People are mistaken when they think that technology just automatically improves. It does not automatically improve. It only improves if a lot of people work very hard to make it better. And actually, it will, I think, by itself degrade, actually. You look at great civilizations like ancient Egypt, and they were able to make the pyramids, and they forgot how to do that. And the Romans, they built these incredible aqueducts. They forgot how to do it. I think the value of beauty and inspiration is very much underrated, no question. But I want to be clear. I'm not trying to be anyone's savior. That is not the. I'm just trying to think about the future and not be sad.
Beautiful statement.
Thanks for watching, my friend. You have seen best motivation video for 2021 for self-discipline and personal development with motivation music. And watch my another video for success and inspiration about Elon Musk and his SpaceX program.